final project. This is what we will be working on this week in class. So it's Monday, October 26, 2020, and this mini lesson video is something that you can refer back to throughout the week to remind yourself of exactly what you're doing so you can re-listen and re-watch this as many times as you need. So like I said, this is the Unit 1 final project, and our objective this week is I can demonstrate mastery of Unit 1 objectives to complete the Unit 1 final project. I really wanted to simplify what exactly it is that you're doing in the Unit 1 final project, and it's really broken up into like two components, but they connect and they go together. But the first is that you're going to select a specific historic event. Just like remember how we looked at Bloody Sunday and Freedom March, you're going to select a specific event. Then for that event, you're going to select 3 historical thinking skills from lessons 1.3 to 1.8 to take a closer look at this specific historic event. Okay? So, for instance, we have these 6 historical thinking skills. Ms. Scheft in her teacher model about the fall of the Berlin Wall, the 3 historical thinking skills that she selected are identifying a primary and a secondary source, contextualizing this historic event of the fall of the Berlin Wall, and then connecting it to enduring issues. Just like Mr. Griffin selected the Haitian Revolution, where he sourced a source about the Haitian Revolution. He did a close reading about actually the same exact source. It's a really, really cool project that he did. And then he wrote a historical argument based on that source. It's connected so well. It's such a great model. So how are you actually then going to create something like what Mr. Griffin or Ms. Scheft made? You're going to use either Google Slides, Apple Keynote, Google Docs, or iMovie. And we really suggest that you pick an app that you're comfortable using. We're already going to be encountering something new by selecting a historic event that we might not know anything about. We should feel very comfortable with our historical thinking skills. So let's also feel comfortable with whatever app that we decide to use, whatever technology we decide to use. And again, I have the breakdown of exactly what we're doing right here. When is this due? This is due this coming Thursday, October 29th by 11:59 p.m. I will later on in the week tell you specifically and give you better directions on how you're going to submit it, but there's going to be another Padlet that's linked here, similar to the historical argument feed that we created about either voter ID or no voter ID, where you will upload that later on. But you're going to have to save it as a PDF, and if it's a movie, you will talk to Ms. Scheft about it. So here's our rubric so that it's super clear how we'll earn our points. And we're all aiming for this 3 out of 3 column. Now, I know that rubrics can sometimes be really overwhelming to look at. I struggle with them. But the really cool thing is that Mr. Griffin used his teacher model to compare it to the rubric so you can see exactly how each aspect of the rubric is represented in Mr. Griffin's teacher model. We also have PDF versions of Mr. Griffin's model right here, and then Ms. Scheft's PDF version as well. So you can check these out to sort of self-assess yourself and also look at the rubric. We've also included the link to all of the Padlets for lessons 1.3 all the way to 1.8. So you can easily go back to them and reference them in the creation of your project. We have also included some websites that we suggest you use. However, you're not limited to using these. So I really like history.com because there's always like really great reading and videos when you like search something on it. Duxters is a great resource. If you prefer to watch videos again, I've included the Crash Course channel on YouTube. Crash Course is a really great resource. I've included National Geographic, but you can also just Google search information about whatever historic event you've selected. So, if, for instance, you selected to do one of your skills as primary and secondary sources, you could literally search, like Ms. Scheft did, primary sources from the fall of the Berlin Wall, secondary sources from the fall of the Berlin Wall. And that's how I found how to show that skill how to select a source from that time period. Or say, for instance, you're going to contextualize this event, just like Ms. Sheff did. You would go to this Padlet, to the Contextualize a Historical Event, go back to the PDF version of the mini lesson, and you can see the 4 questions that historians ask. You're going to have to answer these. So just like Ms. Sheff did, I Google searched, when did the fall of the Berlin Wall happen? Where did the fall of the Berlin Wall happen? What led to the fall of the Berlin Wall? So on and so forth. Okay? So this is how you can find this information if you don't want to use if some of these links don't provide to you what you need. So historic events. This is just a list to get started with. It is long, but it's not everything that you could select. So what I suggest you do is that you look at this, and if you don't see something that you want to do, then reach out to one of your teachers during class when we move on to the pod where you're going to identify your historic event, and just say to us, can I do this event? And we'll probably give you the green light. Again, how are you going to submit your work? You will save it as a PDF. If you're using iMovie, I will help you. I will tell you how to go about saving it so that you can upload it and your classmates can access it. And again, you're uploading this to your class's Padlet by Thursday, 10/29/20, 11:59 p.m. Now you can see a little breakdown of how the week is going to go. We're here Monday. After this mini lesson video, you are going to go and do a pod where you identify the historic event that you've selected, where you identify the 3 skills that you have selected, and where you identify how you're actually going to make the project. We will talk about it as a class after we finish that pod, and then we're going to go ahead and get a jump start on what you're doing tomorrow, which is where you actually are going to make your example of whatever historical thinking skill you have selected. And every day we're going to submit screenshots of the work that we did. And by Thursday, you're going to have everything done by the end of class on Thursday. Hopefully you've used your time really wisely. And by 11:59 on Thursday, you are going to submit your work. So I've said this multiple times when the due date is. Then on Friday, we are going to come to class. We're going to look at our classmates' work. We're going to provide feedback, and then we're going to write a little reflection on Unit 1. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to the pod where we identify the historic event, which skills, and how we're going to make our project.